Hi everybody, I'm Kapadosta from Red Berry Construction. How are you? So today we're going to talk about replacing a stair rail or handrail, and I'm at the job site and we want to just look at the whole setup to see if we have to use a little matching technique. And so in this case I think we do. If you look behind me, you'll see that there's several rails going up the staircase just at the stairs, and then there's a flat spot without any rails. So we want to pick the one that matches the unit that we're actually going to have to replace. So we took some measurements. I'll show you what they are. But it looks like the one that has 3 balustrades is the unit that we're going to try to match and replace. We have to match the 2 end posts, the 3 balustrades, line them up properly, and then angle the top rail and the bottom rail. So let's go take a look and see what it looks like at the spot where we need to add the rail. Okay, back again at the location where we need to add a stair rail. It's a little different than the rest of the staircase because the staircase, if you look down now at these other sections here, they have a little support right here at the stair, so they can be tied into the stair itself. If you look at our location where we need to set up our staircase, there is no wooden staircase that we could use, so we have to figure out how to make these posts sturdy enough and not attach them to the cement. So what we did was my coworker Tony dug these holes. He went down 3 feet, and 3 feet is good enough for Cape Cod for a handrail. And the other thing is that you can use the sand to help hold the stair rail post in place. The sand in Cape Cod is very strong, and when you pack it down around the post, it holds it pretty much as good as cement will. You don't need to put cement inside this rail at the bottom because the sand is going to be packed around it. The reason that it's really good to hold the post is because the sand washes the water straight through. So if it rains, it doesn't get caught up. There's not really any organics mixed in with the soil to get soft and to freeze. The water just rushes right through the sand. Now I'll show you how that works. Here's the sand that we dug out. You can see there's no organics, and if you just put some water in there, you'll see that it just rushes right through. So you see the water doesn't stay, and therefore you won't get a lot of heaving and ice buildup around the post. So now we're going to go and see why we chose 3 balustrade rail design for this particular spot. So if you take the camera, Tony, and just point over to the location, we want the handrail to go from end of the first step, which is the patio, to the end of the last step, roughly. So we want to get 3 balustrades in, and so we took a measurement on the sample that we want to match, and it was about 30.5 inches from the outside of the post to the outside of the post. So the first thing that we want to do is find out what materials we need. We need 3 balustrades. These are we're going to use for the balustrades. We're going to cut them on an angle, make sure they fit right. We need a top rail, and we need a bottom rail. So I bought a 2x4 by 8 pressure treated wood, which is all of the wood components are pressure treated because we're outdoor. And the top rail was a smaller section, and I just needed to make sure it was the right size. So I have 54 inches, and if I measure my spot down here, the sample, I need 27 inches, so I got plenty of material. The other thing I need is the cap, and this is a flat cap that goes on top of the post for the finishing. Okay, so now we have 2 posts that are just laying in the holes. They're not rounded. There's no cement, or I mean there's no sand around them to hold them in place. But we wanted to show you that we put a board that goes from this flat spot to this flat spot, so that these two faces are directly opposite of each other. So when we put the rails in, they'll fit nice and snug. We're going to go ahead now and we're going to level the posts and start filling the sand to hold them in place, and we'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Okay, so now we have the two posts flat against each other. We know they're going to be correct for when we put the top and bottom rail in, and now we have to make sure that they're level. You just grab a level like this, put it up against the post, and check the bubble. It's in the center of the lines in this direction and in this direction. If it's close enough, it should be good. You do the same on the other side, on both ends, and that looks good. Then what we do is we take the sand and we put it back into the post, around the post, and we pound it down a couple inches at a time. Don't fill it all the way up and then pound it. What you want to do is you want to pound a couple inches at a time, and then it gets nice and packed. As you're doing that, the posts may actually go back out of level, so you have to just check them every time you do a pack of a couple, 2-3 inches, and then you check the level. If it's good, you put another layer in. And all you do is basically let the sand in Cape Cod, you just pound it down around each side of the posts as best you can. If you can't get to the other side, at least 3 sides is good. And then do the same thing to the other one. To the other one. Okay, so after we pack a couple of layers, before you commit all the sand all the way up to the top, you want to take a measurement across the inside to the inside, from this post to this post at the top. And I have about 23 inches, and at the bottom I have 23 inches approximately. That's what you want. You want a square box made by these two posts. Okay, so we've finished backfilling the two posts. If you look and see that the sand is all the way up to the level of the bricks of the walkway here, and about the same in the back post, and it's fully tamped and very rigid. So what we did also was we planned on having a little bit more support because we couldn't tie into the staircase at all. We leaned the post up against the walk bricks so that there's less chance of movement in this direction, and we also put the second post in the back and leaned it up against the top of the patio cement so that there's less motion in this direction. Okay, so now that we have the posts in place, we want to find the cut line where we're going to cut these posts to the proper height. We're using the reference of the other staircase that's already in place. You can stay right there. I'm measuring from the staircase to halfway up the cap. That's 36 inches. And I'm going to take that measurement and I'm going to transfer it over to the back post. The back post from the staircase is 36 inches, and I draw a line, and I take my speed square and I draw a line all the way around the post. That's my cut line. When I go to get the front post cut, it's not as easy, because if you look down, you'll notice that the post is not near a staircase nose. So we have to take this board and lay it across all of these stair tread noses, and then we can draw a line at the point where this board, which is a reference line, touches the post. We know that the board is 1.5 inches thick, so we have to come down 1.5 inches. and make the new reference line at 1.5 inches. And then from there, you go up and measure 36. And that's this line right here. Take this board off, make the mark all the way around, and that's the height for cutting this front post. So at this point, we're going to cut the bottom rail first because the posts are closer into the ground at the bottom rail. So we're going to use this template across the nose of each stair end tread, and then we're going to draw a line along this post on the board, and that's the cut line. Oh, there's 2 lines there. Okay, we're going to cut the same angles, and so I'm going to use this reference board again across the stairs and put this on top, this top rail on top. The bottom has a cutout for the balustrade, and then the top is smooth. So we're going to use the top up, and I have my first line referenced on the back post, nice and flat, and then make another line on the inside of the front post. And we're going to cut these 2 lines the same angle. Okay, so now that we've got the bottom rail temporarily in place, we'll take it out after we measure where the balustrades are going to go. There's 3 of them, and then we'll take this off and we'll screw from the bottom side into the balustrade so you won't see them. We measured from the other sample that we have 21 inches for the total length of the balustrade, and we've cut those at the same angle that we cut the lower and upper rail, and that should work perfectly. So now we just have to locate where these balustrades go in position so we have equal spacing between all 3 of them. All you do is you take a measurement from the end to end, and you have about 28 inches. So that means each balustrade is going to be at 7 inches. First one is at 7, second is 14, third one is at 21. So we're going to take this off, put the balustrades in place, and then come back. So we've cut the 3 balustrades, we've taken off the lower rail, put it on its side, and we screwed in through the bottom with 1 screw to catch each balustrade. Make sure you use either stainless steel screws or you have to use pressure treated wood screws. Make sure you use the right screws. And then we'll put this in place at the line that we had before, and we'll put the cap on top, tie both ends of the cap, and then at that point we'll be able to put the caps on each post, and we're done. Okay, so after we put the lower rail in with the balustrades, we took the top rail and just placed it on top, screwed in the balustrades, leveled them, each one individually, and then we tied the top of the rail to the front post and to the back post. That's all secure and in place, and then you just take the caps, you could glue them in place, or you could put screws or nails on top, and that's it. If you want to just subscribe to my channel, please do so. Thanks so much. I hope you learned a lot about how to put a rail in. Have a nice day.